Hello, everyone. This is Grace Comer here, and yeah, it is approximately it is 2:48 in the morning. Yeah. So I don't know why, but for like the past couple days, I've been having this sleeping problem, and I just like can't get to sleep. Like I've always had this sort of like problem where occasionally, um, like I would have trouble sleeping, or I like how when you fall asleep, you're like sort of like become unaware until morning. Like it seems like you blink your eyes and then it's like alarm going off in the morning. Yeah, sometimes I have the complete opposite problem of not seeming to get enough sleep. Well, I don't seem to get enough sleep because it's actually really tiring and really boring. But occasionally, like I'll be sort of like sleep paralysis, like how I'll be frozen and I'll be like, normally sleeping, but the entire time I do not have any dreams and I just sort of like am like staring up, like closing my eyes and just sort of laying there and just like all night long, just like, it's so annoying. And sometimes that happens to me. And well, now I'm having the problem where I can't sleep at all. So yeah, I think I fell asleep for like an hour, but I just haven't been able to get back to sleep because first it was too cold, then it was too hot, then it was too cold again, and then it was too hot again, and I was scared a demon would come out and grab my foot. So yeah, it's been a long day, man. I mean, I have a glow stick right here. This is from Holly's birthday party, by the way. She was in Sleepover Shenanigans. I haven't cracked it yet. I've just had it for a really long time. I don't know why. I've like just always like kept it there. Like one day I'm gonna need that, and one day I will actually use this glow stick. So, also just look at this massive blankets right here. Just massive blankets. Because yeah, I started out sleeping with this, but that made it too hot. And then I started sleeping with this, but that made it too hot still. So I started sleeping with this, and that was also too hot. Gosh darn it, fuzzy blanket, you failed me. So yeah, I also have one pillow. By the way, this is the pillow that everyone at my house like sort of fights over, I guess. Like basically, if you leave it and you go somewhere like for a week or something like that, like if you go on vacation, then yeah, and if you have it in your room, by the time you come back, it'll be out of your room. Someone else will have it, and you'll have to track it down. So I put it in my pillowcase, so no one can take it. Why are my shoes over there? And so, yeah, pillowcase. And then I remember last year on the Florida vacation, I took it with me. So, yeah, because Mom was like, grab a pillow, because it made it super uncomfortable in the car. Because, I don't go with my mom, because she's not there. I go with Amanda and her family. So, yeah. And we're going again this year, by the way. I'm going to upload a video on that soon. We're leaving on Saturday, and I'm, like, so excited for it, which is probably why I've been having trouble sleeping. So, yeah, I think we're going to bring it again. But, I really want to bring, like, a softer pillow, because this one is a microfiber pillow, and it's super firm and stuff. And, yeah. So, of course, when you're in a car for a long time, the last thing you want, at least for me, is something that is extremely firm. Like, I just want a soft pillow so that I can, like, go like that, because I'm one of the really weird people who find weird positions to sleep in. Like, usually if I'm in a car, like, I know a lot of time in Florida, I literally was sleeping like this. Like, I was sitting in the sitting position, had my pillow in my lap, and just sort of... Yeah, because that's a comfortable position for me, and I can fall asleep like that. And, I remember on the trip to Washington this year, I was going to record a YouTube video on that, but I sort of lost all the, stuff. So, yeah. Either way, so on the trip to Washington, I was having trouble sleeping inside of the big buses because, I have anxiety in cars, especially large buses that are driving to, Washington, D.C. in the middle of the night. Because literally, we left at like 8 and not 8, 6 or 8, I forget. And then we got there at like 6 in the morning and we're waiting outside Hard Rock Cafe. And it was like, So anyway, we were supposed to sleep because we had a long day of walking around. They're like, if you don't fall asleep, you're gonna be miserable. So I was trying to get some sleep. So of course, I was thinking of like a bunch of different ways to sleep. So, like I tried to fall asleep like, any normal person would and like just lean up against the back of the chair and fall asleep. But I couldn't do that. So I did the head and lap thing, but I kept bumping into the seat in front of me, and that was really annoying. And then I got in this one position where because I was sitting on the aisle, so there was the arm of the chair, and I just sort of put my pillow there so it'd be more comfortable, and then turn sideways a bit, so, like, far enough so it'd be comfortable, but not too far that I would kick my friend sitting next to me, and I just, like, leaned backwards over it, so that, like, I was literally hanging upside down, my head was in the aisleway, and I fell asleep like that. And then I got uncomfortable, and I woke up, and so I flipped the other way and laid on my stomach instead and went down the aisleway. I got some weird looks from some people, but, at least I fell asleep. And then I woke up from that, because it's a really uncomfortable position, and I fell asleep, like, laying down, sort of, because of so many different weird things I do. Also, on the Washington trip, I slept under the desk, because there were 2 beds, and 4 people to a room. The beds were queen-size beds, though, so it's not like we could have all slept on a bed, but, that didn't exactly happen, because this one kid said, okay, I need my own bed, because, I move around a lot and I kick, so we're like, okay, that's understandable. So I was like, okay, like, no one volunteered to sleep anywhere else, so I was like, okay, I'll sleep under the desk, and that'll be fine. They're like, are you sure? I was like, yeah, but I only have, like, a tiny, I didn't have a blanket, I don't think. I might have had, like, one tiny SpongeBob blanket, because I remember that blanket, and a pillow. And I was like, yeah, but if you want to donate to the, Grace Pillow and Blanket Fund, that would be really nice, because it gets cold. So, yeah, I was sleeping on the desk, and then my other friend wanted to sleep alone, too. So, my other friend in my room had to sleep on a chair. And, yeah, so there were 2 people to a bed, 1 person on a chair, and me under the desk. So, and we didn't rotate at all either, which was sort of annoying. Yeah. It was also really uncomfortable because, like, it was fine while trying to fall asleep because I'm so used to falling asleep on the floor because, like, if you watch any of my earlier videos, like the ones titled In the Morning, and you see that sometimes Amanda starts recording the video, and she turns the camera over to me, which I'm in a sleeping bag on the floor. Yeah, I've gotten used to sleeping on the floor because I used to go over to her house and spend the night, and because she had the kicking problem too. One time she kicked me off the bed, and back when she still had the futon rather than the queen-size bed that she has now. I think she has full actually, but either way, it was super small, so there wasn't room for both of us without, me dying and falling off the edge. So I just slept on the floor, and yeah, that is why I can fall asleep anywhere. I am really, really good at falling asleep places, but just, like, apparently not in beds. I fall asleep on my dad's couch because, yeah, that's where I sleep. I don't have a bed at his house, so I go downstairs and sleep on the couch. And I'm not very good at falling asleep on that couch because, like, I guess this one haunting nightmare because, like, okay, so we were watching The Life of Pi, and I was just casually sitting there, and I looked down on my arm, and there's this orange and black thing on my arm. So, of course, I freak out and yell, spider! Think it was a spider because, you see a big orange and black creature, you think it's a spider. And Dad investigates, and apparently it was just a cave cricket, which was still creepy. So, yeah, I have that haunting nightmare now. Whenever I go there, I just, like, shudder. Like, I really don't want to sleep on this couch because, dude, that one time, like, a year ago when there was a cave cricket on my hand, I'm not even sure, how common are those things anyway? Like, where do they show up? Like, I've never seen one or even heard of it before. And then it was crawling on my arm. I have the same problem, like, that's my main problem with couches, is just, I can't sleep on couches. Like, one time I fell asleep under my friend's table, like, kitchen table, at her birthday party. They're being too loud in the living room, so I was like, okay, I crawled under the table and fell asleep. But still, though, like, I can do that, but I can't sleep on the couches. Like, upstairs, I cannot sleep on that couch. I will have a nightmare. Like, the last time I slept alone on that couch, I had a really bad chain nightmare, and it was, like, absolutely terrible. If you guys want to hear a story on that, just, like, comment or whatever. So, yeah. And this one time, I woke up on the couch, and I felt something crawling on my face. So, of course, naturally, I flail around a bit, and it falls off, and I realized it was a spider. That was a sad moment. Yeah. Speaking of bugs, this video doesn't exactly have a single topic, but one time it's at 6th grade, it was towards the end of the school year, because we were doing the 4-minute locker drills. They're like, I'm gonna prepare you for middle school by making you guys all go to your locker in 4 minutes. But, they didn't do it like, they do in middle school, how they're like, everyone go out and go to your locker. No, they dismissed probably, 5 people at a time to go get their stuff. And once they came back, another 5 could go. If you do that inside 4 minutes, you cannot make it to your locker in time and back to class. That's really, really hard to do. Just let everyone go into the hallway. And then it'll be fine, teach lessons of actually being able to get to your locker. That's not preparing us at all. That's just saying, oh, if you take too long, you, are being mean to your other friends because you don't get a prize. So, yeah. Either way, so one time we went out to our locker, and it was after recess, and I just felt something crawling right here and sort of go down a bit, and then back up. So, it's not like the ghost things, how it's the ghost insects, how it's you feel crawling on your face, there's nothing there. No, it was actually something, and it was the distinct feel of tiny little feet just crawling across my forehead. So, of course, my first reaction is to close my eyes, because my friend Hannah, who was my really good friend in 5th grade, she got stung in the eye by a bee at a baseball game, and that just became my worst nightmare from then on, is getting stung in the eye by a bee, because she said it flew into her eye. So, of course, I'm I have no idea what this is, there's something crawling in my face, so I just stood completely still, and squeezed my eyes shut. I was just and just was sort of standing, straight as a popsicle stick, as some may say, just completely straight with my arms at my sides, just get off me. So, of course, the teacher walks out because he sees me. I haven't even tried to go to my locker. I just am standing in the hallway and just sort of, closing my eyes really, really tight and just standing there still and motionless. And he's like, are you okay? And so he goes up to me, and there's something crawling on my head, on my face. So he looks in my hair, and there's a bee. That was probably my worst nightmare come true, because I am terrified of bees. I cannot be around them. I'm not allergic or anything. I was just stung twice by one bee inside of, I don't know what grade I was in, but I was really young, and because, yeah, it's already bad enough that I got stung by a bee, but the fact that I got stung twice by the same one before it eventually died, that's just bad luck. So, yeah. So, of course, the teacher gets the bee out of my hair, and it was probably, right here by the time he came out. And, by the way, that teacher was awesome, man. Mr. Clark, you were cool. If I were ever a teacher and a student had a bee in her hair, I would be like, good luck with that. Bye. Well, I'll give you the homework later. I mean, I would not touch the bee, but he got it out of my hair, and that was awesome, because you wouldn't expect anyone to do that, because bees are, terrifying. So, thank you, bro. You're my favorite teacher. Yeah. He also, on the last day of school, I remember, because we had 6th grade recognition, and, he was just I was one of the only people left. I was the only person left inside of my class. So, yeah. And we were supposed to go at, I don't know what time it was. We're allowed to leave at, 9:30, but I did not have any parents to pick me up, because, my parents were at work, and my mom's work at the time was, an hour and a half away from my house, so it's not like she could just come pick me up. So I decided, okay, I'll just stay at school and catch the bus home with everyone else. They also had to stay 3 extra days, and we got to leave early. So we were just sort of sitting in the classroom. It was really awesome. I tried to tap dance in some of my dress shoes. Didn't work too well. we went down to the teacher's lounge and got donuts. And we went outside with younger people for recess. And I learned that this one kid apparently is not afraid to jump off the top of a playset. And that dude is awesome, man. Like, I guess we became friends after that somehow. It was just like we were playing tag, and I was sort of running between the stairs, and he just jumped over the railing. And I was like, I did not expect that, and he got me. I was like, bro, you're awesome. So, anyway, on the last day of school, for me at least, so I was the last person in my class. There were no other people in my class who had stayed as long as I had. So, you know, every other person who was there, all the 6th graders who were there, they just all stayed there from their classes. Like, there were probably, like, 1 to 3 in each class who stayed. And, yeah, I was the only one in my class, I think. Like, there might have been, like, one other person or so, but they had left by the time I was there. So, and at the end of the day, while we were waiting for a bus to be called, Miss Gibson, who was my teacher, was like, hey, you have to, like, you know, go to Mr. Clark's room because he's the one who watches people for bus. I was like, I'm like the only kid there, like, okay, bye. So, yeah, I went to his room, and, I just sort of sat awkwardly in the back of the classroom, because I always sat in the same place. Like, we had Rocket Club, which I went to in actual class. I always sat in the same place because, yeah, I'm awkward like that. And I'm the only person in the classroom, so we're just sort of awkwardly sitting there until he starts talking to me, which, you know, cool, man, socialization. But, yeah, he starts to tell me about middle school, and he's like, yeah, and just remember, like, you're a smart kid, don't let anyone get you down, man. I was like, that's actually really good advice, thank you. But, you know, at the same time, I was like, oh crap, this is like the last day in elementary school, I am screwed, man. Like, I'm already really weird, what am I gonna be next year? So, yeah, and the answer is really weird still. I'm going into the freshman school next year. I'm gonna die. Okay, so, yeah, he was just, like, talking and stuff like that. But honestly, that's, like, all I remember from what he was talking about, because I was sort of, like, in my own head, and just sort of like, oh my gosh, this is so awkward, I'm the only person in the classroom. But, you know, I was sort of used to it, because my teachers, like, you know, my teachers were really good teachers, and they're actually, like, really nice and stuff. I remember, like, on the first day of school, I sort of did not like Mr. Clark. And that was because I have this obsession with building stuff out of paper. And, he said, like, we had this assignment to do, and he said, do whatever you want when you're done. So, of course, my thing is, I have glue, I have a bunch of paper, I'm gonna make an art project. So, I made a hat in the middle of class. Because I was finished with my work really early, and I had enough time to make a hat. And so, I'll have my hat, and I'm, like, working on, like, coloring it, stuff like that, and he comes up to me, and he's like, is that on the school supply list? And I'm like, no. He's like, then please don't have it. I guess, like, I don't know if he saw me making it, or if he just thought that I brought it to class as, like, a toy. I'm pretty sure he thought that I brought it to class as a toy, but I was like, I spent so long on this. He said, put it in your folder, because it was obviously made of paper. So I was like, okay. So I had to fold up my hat and put it in my folder, and I sort of resented him for that, because I was like, is your face on the school supply list? But, you know, he was actually a really cool teacher and really funny. Yeah. I hate to say, well, at least at that point, that he was actually really nice. And, like, you know, we were sort of, like, teacher-student friend, because there's a certain thing you can have with your teachers. Like, you can be sort of like their buddy. And I'm usually the buddies of my teachers. And, yeah. He was actually the first teacher that I ever, like, sort of resented. But, you know, he's a friend, sort of. Teacher friend, as much as teachers can be friends. He was a cool teacher. So, yeah. Anyway, so, yeah. And then later in the year, I joined Rocket Club, and he was, like, the leader of it, I guess. And, yeah. Literally, the resentment lasted, like, 2 days, probably. And then it just sort of ended. Dude, I am, like, born to be the teacher's pet. So, yeah. I joined Rocket Club, and I was sort of like the odd one, even though I was like, you know, a kid in Rocket Club. Like, you know. Okay, so I went to Rocket Club for fun because rockets are cool, and I was like, I want to build a model rocket, man. And it was like, you know, one of the free clubs, which is a rare thing to come by in elementary school. For some reason, you can actually come by a free club in middle school and high school, but in elementary school, they're like, there's a $20 fee. And that sucks, man. There's also more in middle school, too, which I am really happy about. I, like, sort of joined all the clubs. It was really cool. So, yeah, we built rockets, and mine was blue and silver and black. Like, the fins were black, I think, and it was blue with silver stripes. And the cap thing was black, too. Man, we learned all the lingo. The cap was black. No, the cone, the nose, something like that. And I remember by the end of the year, we went out to go launch it by the hill at our school. And I got to man one of the walkie-talkies. I was so proud at that moment, because he was like, yeah, I'm going to choose a few people to use these walkie-talkies. And there was like 3 or 4 of them. And of course, me being me, I'm like, I'm responsible, please choose me. And he chose me, and I got to man a walkie-talkie. And that was awesome, even though I probably should not have, because the whole point of the walkie-talkies was to spot where the rocket was headed. But I have terrible eyesight, so I was completely useless. Like, unless it was, like, coming straight for me, I couldn't exactly see it. So, anyway, to middle school, to talk about that. So, inside middle school, I was overwhelmed, like, with how many clubs there were, because I was always one of the people who always wanted to join clubs, but my parents wouldn't exactly agree to pay the money to join, because there's always a fee to do it. Or, like, I wouldn't have any transportation. But in middle school, for some reason, it just sort of started asking my mom, hey, can I go to this? So I auditioned for dance. That failed, though, because apparently you have to attend dance clinics. I auditioned for basketball. That also failed, because yeah, I don't think the coaches liked me very much, because there were 2 coaches, and apparently the one coach, like, he knew who I was. I was sort of infamous. So, yeah, we were trying to do drills, and I wasn't quite understanding it, and he was, like, trying to show us, like, foot movements, but I couldn't really see, because, again, I'm practically blind. So I was, like, sort of confused and stuff like that. And plus, on the first day of clinics, I wore a flannel. And he was like, you're gonna play basketball in that? And that was the start of our friendship. Just kidding. So yeah, he said stuff like, you're gonna give me gray hairs, Grace, and yeah, I don't think they liked me. So yeah, another thing I joined into 7th grade, I think, I wasn't really in as many clubs in 7th grade, but I joined, student council, which I was in that in 8th grade too. By the way, I might have missed the last meeting of the year. Oh crap, I did, didn't I? Wow, I'm terrible at that. Okay, so I joined student council in 7th grade, because, you know, why not? And I went to a meeting for FBLA, which is Future Business Leaders of America. Very awesome club, by the way. They have guest speakers. One of them including the guy who, you know, is in our backyard every day because he's building a deck. You know, tomorrow's the last day. But either way, I think it was him or someone for his company that spoke for the thing. And I was just like, I know who you guys are, but you don't know me. Literally how I feel around any celebrity ever. Like, I know who you are. I'm not creepy, I swear. Okay, so, yeah. And I also joined that. Didn't have as many then, but I did stay after school a lot because I was inside of a musical at the high school. I was in 8th grade, but, you know, I stayed after school. And then I also did this, OMEA, I think. Either it was a, competition sort of thing that they rate you. And I got a rating of 2, which is an excellent, as they call it, which I was actually pretty disappointed in myself, because I was like, man, I want to get a superior, which is the top rating you can get. So, which is a 1, by the way. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got a 2, I'm a disgrace. So, yeah, and I had to stay after school a few times to do that, because, you know, we had to practice the solo song. By the way, for this, it was literally a solo competition, at least the one I was competing in. Like, we could have done, like, groups, but no one wanted to do groups, apparently. And it costed me, like, $35 to do this, and, yeah, my mom was like, yeah, I'll pay the $15 for the competition fee, but, you have to pay the $20 for the accompanist fee. So, I did do that. So anyway, I had to stay a couple times after school so I could practice with the choir teacher. Which, by the way, like, the day we actually did it, though, like, there was probably, like, 4 or so of us inside the room. Wait, there was... Yeah, there were 4 of us who all had the songs. And mine was probably the shortest song, which, you know, and it took me no time at all to memorize. It was, song If, and it goes, like, if I could stop one heart from breaking. It was based off that one poem. And so, yeah, I memorized it pretty easily, but on the recording that he gave me, it sort of sounded like it was for an opera, sort of, because it was like, if I can stop. So, yeah, and I tried to mimic that, and I think I did pretty well, by the way. Like, you know, practiced a lot. I was really proud of myself by the end of it. So, yeah. And while we were practicing before the competition thing, we were all inside this room together, which was like a computer choir room, whatever, and they were sort of playing each person's songs and having them sing it. Since we were all the solo singers, we had to sing in front of each other. So it was like, yeah, so. But I had, you know, I sort of, at the time, definitely not now, because, yeah, at the time, I liked one of the guys in there, and so, not gonna say which one, but, you know, he knows, people told him, and that's, I need better friends. Okay, so, yeah, and he had one of the solos, so, of course, I wanted to be, like, one of the first people to rehearse, because, you know, like, oh crap, he's gonna walk into the room soon, and then, dude, he'll have to hear me sing. So, yeah. I quickly rehearsed, and then I sat back down, and I got to hear everyone else rehearse, too. And, like, all their songs were way better than mine. Like, they were actually interesting, showed emotion. Mine was just, like, sort of an opera thing, and I'm not very good at that. Also, my choir teacher said that I was sort of weird in the terms of singing, because, I get really loud at the high parts, and really soft at the low parts. And I was like, I'm a soprano, man. And also, I sing quieter at rehearsals than I do in the actual thing, because when we're rehearsing, he was always like, you need to sing louder. They can't grade you if they don't hear you. So, of course, I always sang soft anyway. And then when it actually came to the real thing, I sang super loudly, and I did pretty good. And he was like, what did you just, like, why wouldn't you do that when we were rehearsing? That would have been way better. So, yeah. And we were all led into a room after that, and that's where the judges graded us. But, luckily, I was to be, evaluated inside another room, but I still had to watch everyone else do theirs. So, everyone else in my group, who were 3 other people, there was 4 of us, so they all had to do it in this one room in front of these 3 judges. And, yeah, I got to see all them perform, and, yeah, that sort of made me more nervous, because, like, especially this one kid, like, she was always the performing type. She's really good at singing, and she was, like, probably, like, the best singer I've ever heard inside real life, and I was, like, you know, looked up to her, sort of. She was, like, my singing idol, so, yeah. And, yeah, her and the other kids messed up while singing their songs. And that made me even more nervous, because I was the last one to be going. And I was like, oh crap, they're way better than me. If they can't do this, then I can't do this. So, yeah, either way. So I was sort of nervous, and I was, like, inside one of the seats, and I was, like, putting my head down, like, So, yeah. But I was giving a thumbs up, so that was okay, and that made everything better. So, yeah. You know, simple. I feel appreciated. So, yeah. And then everyone else got to leave because they already done theirs. But I still needed to be evaluated, so I was led down the hallway, like, all the way to the end, which made me feel super creeped out, because we were just like, okay, come down here. And we were just, like, led down this huge corridor. And I turned to another room with, 1 person in it, and that was the accompanist. And then my choir teacher walked in, and the judges still weren't there yet, so we had to wait for the judges. And then I was talking to my choir teacher and stuff like that. And at first, I did not want my dad to be in the room, because I was like, you're gonna make me nervous. I cannot, like, Because my main problem, I cannot do acting stuff or singing stuff in front of my parents. I'll be super embarrassed. Like, it just makes me super nervous. So, yeah, but eventually I gave in and I was like, okay, fine, you can be in the room. You sort of took me like half an hour to get here, so okay. And apparently I did really, really good. I did not mess up my song or forget the lyrics. I sang super loudly and I got a rating of 2. So, I really want to get 1 though. I really need to re-enter that or something like that so I can get a 1. Yeah. So, that was my experience. Anyway, guys, it's been half an hour. I just recorded a 48-minute video earlier today. Technically yesterday, though, because it's, 3:19. So, either way, I gotta go. See y'all later.